Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Sarah Schultz and I am a realtor in the Northern Nevada market, serving Reno, Sparks, Carson City, and all the surrounding areas. On today's video, I'm gonna be unpacking 5 things that relocation buyers need to know when they are entering the Reno market. If you stay tuned till the end, I'm gonna give you a bonus thing, so don't go anywhere. Make sure you watch all of this. Coming up first is that you should expect longer days on market and to have some more options. This is good news. I don't know if any of you were shopping during the COVID frenzy in 2021. It was crazy. Literally, I had buyers coming to me at that time who were having a hard time finding even a handful of listings that checked all their boxes, fit in their price range, and weren't snatched up within minutes of hitting the market. We're actually seeing the opposite now. I'm seeing buyers have so many options with our current inventory that they actually have a decision paralysis. People have so much inventory to choose from that it's actually messing with their ability to make a decision. It's a crazy thing. This leads me to item number 2, and that is because there's so much inventory, sellers on the selling side are having a lot more competition because their listing has to stand out and hold up against lots of other listings. This was not the case in the market that preceded this one. So with that, sellers are offering a lot more flexibility with price. They are offering more concessions, which could mean bridging appraisal gaps, although we're not really seeing that as prices are holding strong. They're not growing to the extent that they were, but our last market update did show that prices just barely increased, which is unusual for this time of year. So I wouldn't be shocked if we started seeing them trend down, but that's not to say, and let me be very clear about this, we are not seeing a market crash. I keep seeing these really dramatic headlines, 2008, blah, blah, blah. That's just not based on reality. We're not seeing a crash, right? We're seeing kind of a plateau, especially in our market. Reno specifically has a lot of things working for it in this market that are different from other markets or other cities of similar size. I could get into all this. This is getting into a video for another time, but long story short, we neighbor California. We have a lot of tax benefits for big business. We're seeing a lot of developments in our economy that are influencing our local housing market. So even if we are shifting more in favor of buyers, there is no reality wherein we're seeing a market crash in our Reno market. All right, I will land this plane. And what I was saying was that sellers are offering a lot more concessions to buyers. So this is good news if you are a relocator thinking about moving here, because you're gonna have more inventory to choose from than you've had in at least 5 years. And you're probably going to get it depending on the listing and the price point. You may be getting it at a fair price and you may be getting some seller concessions. All right, moving on to number 3. One thing that you do need to know is that I, like all real estate professionals and all humans, don't actually have a crystal ball. That means that you are probably in for a fair level of uncertainty when it comes to mortgage interest rates. These really can't be predicted. I did actually just leave an office meeting at my brokerage this morning. We had one of the lenders in our market who always comes in and gives an update, but he was saying that all the finance people, all the people he follows, all the professionals that kind of dictate what's going to happen, all of them are kind of predicting. Of course, operative word being predicting. No one can guarantee, right? But we're hearing that come January 2026, we might see cuts that will lower rates down to around 6.125%, which is good news and bad news. If you're a buyer, it's good news in the sense that it will help you with your monthly mortgage payment. But when mortgage rates come down, prices tend to go up because it drives competition. So what I'm gathering from industry professionals, both in our market and nationally, is that we are kind of at this plateau. We're unsure about rates. It is influencing some pressure onto the seller side of these transactions. So come January, if and when mortgage rates do come down, finance professionals are predicting that we may see demand build again, maybe later in the year in 2026. But I would just say this may be a really good moment. This might be a good window. You might be kicking yourself down the line if that does happen and demand does come back up, which drives prices up. And who knows what's gonna happen with rates. They're not forever. I don't want to be another realtor telling you, marry the house, date the rate, whatever the saying is. I mean, it is kind of true. Like, you're not necessarily stuck with it. If rates do drop at some point, you could refi. But to be fully transparent, that typically involves a price, right? Like, it costs money to do that. I just like to be really transparent. All right, I'm gonna move on. I still have a lot more for you. The fourth thing that relocating buyers coming to Reno, among other places, may realize or may kind of feel is that inspections and contingencies may be a bit easier to negotiate. And that does kind of go hand in hand with sellers offering concessions, right? But just picture back in 2021 when it was a super, super hot market, we had so many out of state, mostly Californians, coming in, buying up houses, all cash, sight unseen, waiving contingencies, waiving due diligence, which is, like, in my book, absolutely never gonna happen. But I mean, even if you're agreeing to buy it as is, you still wanna know what's wrong with it. There are still reasons, a lot of them, to conduct your due diligence, but they were waiving the appraisal, they were waiving the inspection and due diligence, and obviously if they're paying cash, they're waiving the financing. So with the market having shifted, we're seeing that those things are kind of a given in our market now. Like, buyers have enough pull and enough power and are hard enough to come by. Maybe not hard enough to come by, but they have a lot more choices. And so they're able to build those things into the contract without waiving them, essentially. And that's favorable for buyers. Number 5, and don't go anywhere because I do have a bonus item as promised because you've been patient. But number 5 is that relocating buyers now more than ever probably will find the most value in having a local guide, a local professional here with boots on the ground, especially if you are moving somewhat remotely. If you're coming from out of state and maybe you'll fly in for one day or even 2 separate days before you actually move into your home. If you have never lived here or haven't lived in Reno in recent years, so much has changed. And with the mass accumulation of inventory that is sitting on our market, you have so many choices. And now more than ever, it is so important to have an expert who is very clear about each and every neighborhood and how this market shift is specifically influencing the market data for each neighborhood, because it is different. If you look zip code by zip code, everything's a little bit different. We're still seeing a seller's market in some areas. We're still seeing, a hot market, prices are holding or even increasing. It just kind of depends. So you need someone who's really skilled at looking at all that data, but also knowing the difference between one neighborhood and another. All right, you guys have been super patient. As promised, I do have a bonus one for you. So here it is. One thing that you are going to find if you are a relocating buyer in 2025 is that remote purchases are easier now in this current market, especially given the market shift, than they ever have been. Obviously, we are at a peak of all things AI, technology, etc. But the other thing to really think about and wrap your head around is that listing agents in a hot market have somewhat of the luxury of being a bit lazy or cheap. I don't know if you guys understand this, but when you hire an agent to list your home, they take on, in most cases, they take on all of the marketing expenses, right? So the quality of your photos, your videos, your printed, mailed collateral, like anything that has to do with marketing the home is coming from your listing agent. And so you want an agent in your corner. This is a whole other topic, but it's worth saying. You want an agent in your corner who is not only skilled at all those things, but also has the budget to accommodate all those things. And if you don't, your listing's going to suffer. In hot markets where listings are just flying off the market in no time, that is less important than it is now. And so what I'm seeing, and actually a huge thing we just talked about in my brokerage office meeting this morning, was how listing agents need to really step it up. You have to go to great lengths to get your listing noticed in a sea of other similar listings, whether that be some kind of like viral social media video, some trending video, whatever it is, maybe having contacts or buyers out in the world. But for you as the buyer, the way that it actually trickles down to your buying experience and benefits you is that these agents who are just having a basic photo package taken, you can't get away with that anymore. You have to do Matterport. You have to do 3D imaging. You have to do video tours. You have to go live on Instagram and show room by room. You have to do all those things because if you're going to attract and retain a buyer, they really need to understand the experience of what it's like to be in that home. And not only that, but to be able to picture what their own life might look like in that home. I think what you're going to find now more than ever is that remote buying is going to be not only easier, but you're going to have so much more information now on the buy side than you ever have because listing agents are going to have to step it up. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you. What questions do you have about relocating here? I would love to be a resource for you. If you're even thinking about it, I would love to connect, get your questions answered, help you put a strategy in place. You can book a free call with me. There's a link to do that in the show notes below. I'm not like a salesy, spammy personality, but I just want to help you out and see if we might be a good fit, or at the very least, I can point you in the right direction. You can book that call with me in the link down below. And if you haven't already, pretty please smash that like and that subscribe button. I put out new videos each and every week about the Northern Nevada lifestyle, the Reno Sparks housing market, and of course, everything to do with buying and selling real estate. I have amazing referral partners nationwide. So if you're not in the Reno market, or if you're thinking of coming to our market and you have a home to sell first in another market, I can help you with that too. So just reach out. Let's see what we can put together. All right, thank you guys, and I'll see you next week.